Hello, Malaysia, and welcome to another edition of The Nation. Today, we're going to talk about a very exciting walk. It's 750 kilometers. It's called the Goodwill Walk 2015. Everyone's talking about it. The person who started it also started the Malaysia Food Bank. He's a very well-known personality in Malaysia. He used to grace the airwaves or national airwaves during the times of Radio 4, subsequently just before its fall. And he's here with us today. His name is Flying Singh. I'm sure you've heard of him before and you've heard him on the radio. Encik Flying Singh, a very good day to you and thank you very much for joining.
My good friend Gerard Ratnam.
How do you like that before the fall of national radio?
Before that, those days when we still had a following.
Yeah, we had a good following.
Used to say, wow, we listened to that radio and there was only one radio station.
Yeah, there was that.
Yeah.
No, but you guys did well. You and Scam Boy, and have you know this? I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, that scams were started by you guys. Yeah.
Yeah, and after that they have the Panggilan Hangat.
Hangat and Gotcha and all.
So I tell people that this crazy Scam Boy was the one who started the whole thing. Got the ball rolling.
So life after radio, how's it good?
It's been very interesting. I went to India for 3 years.
Right.
I'd like to tell people to learn how to do humanitarian work because the 3 years in India, without any money, living in an ashram, and just watching life and the value of life, where the population of Malaysia is probably in one city. Okay, so imagine being in that kind of scenario and being exposed to so many things all at once.
Right.
When I came back, that's when Aceh happened, the tsunami. So within a week, I called a friend called a friend, and I started this group called the Global Sikhs, which in the end did about 2,000 tons of food thanks to Malaysia. Thanks for your donations we got from the Buddhist Mahavihara, from all the other aid organizations, from the public. We even got food from different religious bodies. We were given the Kitab Suci Al-Quran, the Lokongs. We were given prayer materials for the Muslims. When we went there, they actually cried.
Right.
They said,
and this is in Aceh.
Are you Muslim? We said, no, we're Sikhs. But how is it that you knew that this is what we needed? We said, we just imagined that if we had a disaster, after getting food, after getting water and all, the next thing we want to do is we would like to pray and say, thank God we survived, and pray for those people that we've lost. So that is what we did. And I think it comes a lot from the culture of being Malaysia, in Malaysians, because the way we were brought up, we were always brought up to respect another's religion and race. Sekarang masa sembayang, ini orang Sing jangan kacau dia punya serban. There are things that we know about each another. So we just used that same thing, took off our shoes because before going into their broken home. When somebody from the Western world would just walk in, I'm not trying to condemn anyone, but just say, start ordering people, I'm here to help you, now this is how you're going to do it. We didn't do that. We say, Pak, bagaimana kami boleh menolong? How can we help you? And that is what we were taught in Malaysia as Malaysians, because you don't walk into someone's house, even if they're poor, and start ordering them around. And that is what I learned from Aceh. After Aceh was Sri Lanka, Myanmar for the cyclone Nargis, Philippines, you interviewed me for the Panay Island, where we built 100 houses, where even the Philippines government came and said, how did you build a house, sir, for 1,500 USD, when a house which is not even solid, they were building bulo houses for 4,000 USD. So I said, it's very simple. We went, we bought the material, we got the villagers to start building it. After everybody helped with one house, then we moved on to the next. By the time the 30th house was done, everybody was tired. Then we got some funds and started giving them daily wages, and then they built the next houses, and it went on and on.
So you've been coming up with all these initiatives, but it all started in the ashram in India, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it was living in a place where, like I said, where you...
Yeah, but what made you want to go to India and do what you did?
When I left radio, we had about 750,000 listeners. It was the big bad breakfast show.
In past tense, yeah?
Yeah. Okay, don't stress on that too much. And we were kind of at our peak. Always number 2 to Lil Kev and Fly Guy. We used to scam them as well. Scam Boy used to call them, record them and play it on our station. And one day they called us, hey guys, stop doing that, man, be professional, man. I said, you guys scam everyone, we can scam you. So that's what we used to do. But leaving at the peak, I sort of got a calling. I think it was spiritual calling. My wife was going to have a baby, and there were so many things that were happening.
But leaving radio, was it heartbreaking to leave radio?
Imagine
750,000 listeners
Yeah.
or people listen to you every day, and then the show comes to an
it
end.
wasn't easy. It was not just leaving radio, not just leaving the fanfare, not just leaving the fact that you were earning money, and not just leaving the fact that people knew you, or that you are in a country where you're a minority. Even one sing is a lot already. Other sings are
No,
not.
you say, I need to correct that. People didn't know, and they know you. They didn't. Let's not use new. You know, people still know you. People still talk about it.
I'm talking in the past tense that when I went to India,
Yeah.
nobody knew me. I was just another turban in the
Right.
crowd. And it's a massive crowd. So it was a very, I was going to use the word humiliating,
Yeah.
but I think it was a very humbling experience. And that's when I realized, man, it's not about me. It's about that guy next to you, that person who just needs that bread, that water, that any little help you can do. So when I came back and Aceh happened, that's when I just sprung into action. I don't know. I just couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I said, man, I kept telling people, I said, do you know if Sumatra wasn't there, Malaysia would have been that
Right.
Aceh? You know, I kept telling people that, and that's how things got moving. And the food and funds that came in was just amazing. We fed about 7,000 people for 4 months. UN was taking food from us. We were the only NGO that had boats.
Right.
How do you have boats? Because the Langkawi yachties said, take our yachts. A yacht that you would hire for 7,000 USD per day was given to us to go to Aceh.
Wow.
People like Captain Marius, the owner of Sila Lona and all. If you go and Google Sila Lona, it's an Indonesian Fenici that you look at, you'll be like, wow, this will be the most luxurious holiday I can ever have. And imagine seeing dolphins on the way to Aceh, and the minute you get in, you're hit with the stench. It's like a fog of stench, and then you see dead bodies floating by. That experience is something that you can never forget.
And you know, with what you've seen, you continue doing the good work you're doing. And a while ago, you did put together a walk from Singapore to Malacca, if I'm not mistaken.
See, the walk happened last May, and you interviewed me for it. It was, I would call it a Forrest Gump moment, okay, where 5 of us started from Silat Road, Gurdwara in Singapore. It was a Sikh thing, right? I called the community guys. I said, let's get together, let's do something, right? So they gave us support all the way from Singapore to Malacca. And it was an amazing success. We raised about 60,000 USD worth of cash and kind. We helped out an orphanage, and we disbursed the money. It was a really good feeling, and people who joined along the way, they felt really, really good. And all of them kept saying. Then people from the north were saying, "How come you did a South Singapore to Malacca? You should do one from north." And that's when I started talking to David Atto, who joined us on the walk, Nomadic Lion.
Nomadic Lion, that's his name.
Amazing guy. He did Walking Borneo. He just finished 2,500 km in Borneo. And then David said, you got to do one Kalian to Malacca at least, you know. Why? Because we've done south to Malacca, let's do north to Malacca. And from last year, we started planning, we started thinking about it, and everything was just not really moving. And then I started really working on it, and bang, the Kelantan floods happened. And when the Kelantan floods happened, I was just stunned. I could not believe the magnitude of this disaster. For me, it was like a mini, not even a mini tsunami. They called it the Adik tsunami, right? Man, the way I look at it...
Did you go there and witness it for yourself?
There were about 1 million people affected. And what we did was, just on Facebook, we started raising food and funds. And immediately, even our Gurdwara was affected, you know. But I kept thinking about the people, not just the building. I'm thinking about the people that have lost everything. They've got no food, they've got nothing. And that's when I came across this guy. You know, a message came to me from the Center of Orang Asli Concerns coordinator. They say he's a coordinator, but he does everything. It's like a John Rambo kind of guy. You know? Dr. Colin Nicholas.
Is
and
he
gave me
Malaysian?
coordinates. Malaysian guy. And he said that these Orang Asli villages and these coordinates in the jungles of Gua Musang have been cut off for quite some time now due to landslides. So in my mind, I still did not catch that. So what we did is, a friend of mine, Captain Bhagawan, had a helicopter. In fact, he's got 3. And he started helping us. He says, just get the basic fuel and the costs involved, and I'll fly you guys in. Eventually, we did about 12 flights, 12 days of flying, about 15 to 20, 30 sorties per day. And we raised hundreds of thousands of ringgit just on the Facebook alone, just to fund the flights, to fund the people there. And we flew in about 15 to 20 tons of food. Imagine taking 400 kilos each flight.
Right. 400 kilos on each flight.
Yeah, because helicopter is small. It's a 5-seater. So as much as we carry, we reduce the people. We'd actually fly from Subang all the way to Kuala Betis. Kuala Betis was our LZ, our landing zone.
Right.
We cleared a little place there. And Dr. Colin Nicholas would come with his goods, and we would transport goods from KL on land right up to that point. And then I called the helicopter the barge of humanity, the falcon of humanity. Yeah? It's so cool. So Captain Pogong was coming in, landing, we're loading it up, sending it out to these jungle areas. And these guys were running out, orang asli, orang asal they like to be called. They were running out and they were so glad and so grateful. And this was about a week or so after the flood. And I went out there, I said, sudah berapa lama tak dapat makan, minum. I'm talking to them, and they said 2 bulan, 3 bulan. And I was like,
they didn't receive any aid, food or whatever for 2-3 months.
And I couldn't understand because I thought maybe they didn't know how to speak Malay.
Right.
For me, it was like, that was the first thing. It was like, what do you mean 2-3 months? The flood happened 2 weeks ago, or a week plus ago. Until it dawned on me that these guys were cut off because of the landslides. Imagine you have a jungle logging track
So the
road
landslides happened way before the floods.
when the start of the monsoon. So they were cut off. There were 5,000 orang aslis in the jungles who were living on tapioca and fresh hill water.
Right.
And that shocked me. Every post that we went to, post Gobla, post this, post Burr, all these posts that we went to, it was the same thing. It was the same thing. And that's when we realized that we had to focus on the jungles of Go Musang. We reduced our action in Temerloh and Kuala Krai and other places, and we focused on that. And that really, really made a big difference. It was a small group of people making a huge impact on a small group of people.
Right. Not that it should make a difference whether how big or small the groups are, but they, from the reports I had, they said there were small pockets of people, and from what you're saying, there are quite a few people when we bring in
5,000.
5,000.
We're talking about maybe about 30 villages. 5,000 in the Gua Musang jungle alone.
Right.
And almost every one of them were cut off. Because at the end of the day, once those logging roads fall off the cliff, there's no road. And for you to walk through a jungle, it take you 1 to 2 weeks. Imagine having malaria or some fever and trying to walk 1-2 weeks through a jungle for medical care. We even did medical airlifts. We brought in the flying doctors, flying medics. We actually brought in NAM medics and some other doctors who actually came.
Who are the flying medics, for those of us who don't know who the flying medics are?
Man, we just coined it. We just said, okay, now the barge of humanity is going to take flying medics. I called all the doctors I knew. I got in touch with some IM4U guys, and they brought some doctors, and everybody just came on board. Now Medics is this group in Chowkit. They've started a free medical clinic. Amazing guys. You should interview them one day as well. And they're just serving everyone. I like organizations. I love to work with organizations that recognize the human race as one. That because hunger goes beyond caste, creed, and skin color. And there was something that Scamboy told me that it just blew my mind. He said, do you know that the DNA can tell you everything about the person except one thing? I said, what's that? He said, the person's skin color. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I said, no, but how can it be? He said, it can tell you everything except the skin color. And the skin color is beyond race and religion. A skin color is, if you're hungry, it doesn't matter whether you're black or white or pink or purple, you're hungry. And that's what Malaysia Food Bank is all about. And that is why we've set up Malaysia Food Bank. This is a food bank that we have never had before. After Kelantan, I realized that every time it takes 5 days, you get the food, you get the funds, you get the volunteers, and by the time you can get in, even if it's Aceh, it takes you at least a week. So can you imagine if we have a food bank which is being renewed, rice, canned food, stuff that's not going to go bad over a few days or a few weeks, and we can get big organizations to support us along the way. This 782 kilometers, we're talking to Maidin, Kedai Satu Malaysia.
Right.
I'm waiting for Dato' Amir Maidin to come back to me on this. We're not asking him to sponsor.
Right.
Anybody you call in Malaysia nowadays, your sponsor susah lah, nowadays GST lah, or kita pun, Kelantan flood just happened, we donated a lot. Everybody is, I understand, everybody is in pain, everybody is suffering. But those hungry people, can you imagine how much they are suffering? How much they actually need? They still need to eat. So I'm talking to big organizations and saying, if we walk up to you, if we walk 300 kilometers and reach your Kedai Satu Malaysia, would it be okay if we tweet and get some celebrities to come to pull the public, and the public can just go and buy some food and donate it to us? Would
Right.
that be okay?
Right. Well, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we're going to find out more about this walk from Perlis to Melaka, 750 kilometers, and how you can be a part of it. It's running from the 19th till the 23rd. And if you need more information, all you need to do is log on to www.goodwillwalk.com.my. We'll take a short break and come back and continue speaking to the Flying Sing, and we'll get more information for you as to how we can help one another in Malaysia. Stay with us.
Ayah, nak kunci kereta. Budin dah habis cuci ni.
Rajinnya anak ayah. Nak ambil ni.
Tak apa ayah. Budin ikhlas tolong ayah ni.
Terima kasih, Encik. Kalau Encik tolong saya, tak tahu apa saya nak buat.
Jangan macam ni, Encik. Saya ikhlas. Lagipun, kita kan sama-sama rakyat Malaysia. Kita saling membantu.
Ini rezeki pedagang Encik. Dah pun diluluskan.
Terima kasih, Encik. Wah, cakap betul Encik buat kerja ya. Jom, Encik, saya belanja makan.
Encik, ni memang tugas saya. Lagipun saya dah dibayar gaji untuk semua ni. Saya tak harapkan balasan.
Hello Malaysia and welcome back to The Nation. We're currently speaking to Flying Sing. We're talking about the walk, or the Goodwill Walk, which will be happening from the 19th of April till the 23rd of May. So it's going to be quite a while. It's going to be a month, isn't it?
Yep. Okay, first of all, I must admit, I must confess that in the haste of organizing this walk,
Right.
and the 2 months that actually came in between during the Kelantan floods, which we could do nothing but Kelantan flood work, a lot of people told me to postpone the walk. They said, you're not ready, you don't have a full list of sponsors, you don't have funding, you're going to be 1 month, 3 days on the road, you're going to walk 25 kilometers a day, you've got a group of 10 people walking, maybe another 5 to 10 people who are going to support you, a crew for logistics to collect the food, you're going to need places to stay, you need to go to certain villages and call people like a Jom
Right,
Hebo kind of
right.
thing, so that they can know what you're doing. And there's so much, there's media, that this and that, you don't have time, postpone it. And I just told them this, I said, you can't postpone the next disaster. And by clockwork, the disasters have been coming and coming. We have to be ready.
Right.
We have to be ready. When I spoke to the authorities and I asked them, I said, do we have a food bank? They said, well, we have got a store. The army has a store. When there's a disaster, they use food from that store and go on. And I was just telling them, I said, well, now we have a food bank. Malaysia Food Bank has been set up. It is an organization for anyone in Malaysia or outside of Malaysia.
Right. It's interesting that you talk about a food bank and how important it is, because the other day we interviewed a Captain Bala, and he's very into
he's an
safety and
amazing guy,
amazing guy, and he says we don't have enough body bags should anything happen, or should there be another catastrophe, or should there be a catastrophe in this country. We need to have enough body bags too. And with the food bank, do you think this is going to be extended to emergency equipment?
You see, once we get the food and the funds, the first thing that I see is going to happen is organizations like COAC,
Right.
Center of Orang Asli Concerns, are definitely going to come to us whenever they need food,
Right.
because the Orang Aslis definitely need a lot of attention. Organizations like United Sikhs will come to us when there's a humanitarian disaster and they need food. So they will come to us. Organizations like Kachara Kitchen that are
Right.
serving the homeless will come to us. Nanak's Kitchen, there's this guy who's been serving to the homeless for the last 14 years, using his own money, borrowing money. And we came across people like that. What we would like to do is we would like anyone out there who has a need, whether they need body bags, whether they need food, they need funding. It could be a small asrama somewhere or an orphanage somewhere of any race or religion that needs funding, but somehow they slip through the cracks and they're not getting it. All they have to do is go to our Facebook page or go to the Goodwill Walk page or just write into us and say, this is who we are, this is what we need. So we will have a team to actually go there. A few people will go and check it out to see these guys are for real. They really have a need, and we know what it's like. We are beggars at the end of the day. We go to the public and we ask you, please give us something so that we can help those people. And then all of us are begging.
Right.
Okay, so if somebody is going to ask us, we're not going to sit down here and think, oh, yeah, we'll give you, we won't give. No. Wherever the need is greatest, like I keep saying, people find this very hard to understand, but hunger transcends race and religion. When there's a need, when you're in a disaster, you need help immediately, you need to get it first.
Right. Just last night, I was watching a TV a program over HBO, and it was Beyond Borders, an Angelina Jolie movie. She goes to an African country and she feeds them. Shocking images they show you about hunger and what hunger can do. But of course, that's not going to happen in our country. But we do have our set of problems.
We do.
Having said that, a while ago, there was this talk about not being able to, not wanting to feed people in the city simply because it was a tad bit embarrassing for tourism and all that. And how do you go about doing things now? Soup kitchens were told to cease operations.
Right. Actually, a lot of people don't know the full story.
Right.
If you feed a homeless man at 12:01 at midnight, okay, and he's sleeping, you go up to him and go, makan, 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 okay? And the guy gets up, he's like half asleep, he goes back to sleep, he wakes up 3, 4, 5 hours later, there are ants in the food.
Right.
He's not going to eat it. He's homeless. But he's not going to, he has some self-respect unless he's really starving or whatever. This is Malaysia at the end of the day. And that food lying there in the morning when the people come into their shops and all, can you imagine their ants and everything? It's a big mess.
Right.
So the authorities didn't want that to happen. So they actually put out a circular, or there was a big hoo-ha about it.
Right.
But the problem could have been solved if the organizations that were delivering the food could do it a bit earlier while those people are awake, and they could ask them, Abang, nak makan? The guy says yes, give it to him. The guy says no. Sometimes when we go out, every Friday we go out along the Pudu Petaling Street area, there's some people who just say tak mau, and they sit there.
Right.
And there's some people who wait religiously for the last 14 years. They wait for that vegetarian meal that's going to come, that is halal for all, and they're just waiting for it and saying, oh, terima kasih, terima kasih.
Right.
So there are organizations like that need help.
So you're saying there was a sort of a miscommunication or misinterpretation of the message by the authorities?
I think the authorities were also, they had a point. They didn't want a messy city overnight. Suddenly they wake up in the morning and there's mess everywhere. They didn't want that. But at the same time, they didn't want to leave those people starving as well, because the main director actually made the comment.
But the fact of the matter here is that the people who were starving were fed by people who were concerned about them not having enough food.
They were concerned, but maybe the modus of carrying out that help, that seva that we call it, So it's very. I mean, they have to look at themselves.
Right.
Everybody has to be introspective, because there is a need. There are more than 5,000 homeless people in KL alone,
Right.
and these people need to eat food. Some of them are going through rubbish and all. It's really sad. It's really sad. Some of them don't have the guts to go up to you and, bang, boleh kasih makan. Sometimes you see a homeless guy, he wants $1 from you. You say, Nema, I'll buy you a meal. You'll spend $10 on him for a meal, but you might not give him a buck. So that's what I'm saying. It's about everybody looking at themselves. We, Malaysia Food Bank, would like to help organizations that are doing things right.
Right.
Organizations like Kachara Kitchen and Nanak's Kitchen, where they actually go in the right time, they do things the right way, and you can see the results. Imagine giving out 2,000 meals every month for the last 14 years.
So there's this walk coming along, and this walk is going to help bring more food to the Malaysia Food Bank.
Yeah. So the Malaysia Food Bank has just been set up. You'll be meeting Zarif after
right.
this.
We've spoken to Zarif before. We're going to have him on the show again. Right?
He's very iconic. He's the CEO of a company. He's on a
He does
board.
everything.
He's
Yeah,
on a
yeah.
board with so many other companies.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
recently, I just found out that he was in Aceh for 8 months. And even the Malaysian government is working through him to get things done in Aceh. Amazing guy.
Right, right.
Amazing guy.
And with events like this coming up with Goodwill Walk, you need sponsors. You need people to come out and help. And there are a lot of people or a lot of organizations who have come out to support this cause. Would you like to talk about
Okay,
that?
the first thing I want to say, I want to look in the camera and say this.
Yes.
Thank
Come here,
God.
Cam 2, please.
Yes.
Yeah, that.
Thank God
Yeah.
for New Balance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now
Don't
nobody.
fall, man. Don't
No,
fall.
nobody calls me flippers anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. When I was a kid in school, I always had those weird feet that I could never get the size.
Right.
And New
Your
Balance.
size what?
13 and a half UK.
He's a giant, man.
That's 14 US.
Yeah.
Okay. And you know what they say about men with big feet, right?
Nothing.
No, they wear big socks. So it was really tough. And I'd like to thank the New Balance team, Jeevan. Thank you so much for actually
Right.
getting me the shoes. Not just me, all the full distance walkers.
Right.
We have about 10 or so, and including the crew, I think there are about 15 of us.
Right.
So they are sponsoring from head to toe. We're talking about shoes that are the most important thing. The impact on the ground is...
The last time you went on a walk, you wore slippers, in it?
No, I had a New Balance pair
Yeah.
that I bought on my own, which was the only pair in the country. And recently, even New Balance, they were trying to get the shoes from Singapore, from all over Malaysia, and they could not get the
They
size.
couldn't get the Flying Sings shoe.
So finally, they had to get it from the UK. And that's where I really admire and respect them that they actually did this. The press
Right.
conference is going to happen next Wednesday. I really hope you can come. And of course, New Balance will be there as well. Giving us a lot of support and also giving us some freebies when we stop by the schools and the school
Right.
kids walk with us. We can give out some freebies to them as well. And that's a big help. I'd like to really thank them from my heart for that.
Okay.
And another organization or group that I'd really like to thank, they supported us for our last walk, is Baines Physio. Providing 2 physiotherapists for the whole month and 3 days is not a joke. That's a big cost. And without them, we can't do this walk because
Baines Physio operates from Kuala Lumpur.
yeah, Dato Dr. Balwan Singh Baines, he's somebody you should talk to, man. He's amazing. He talks not just about the mind, the body, and the soul. He's a physiotherapist with an amazing personality. And whenever I've gone up to him, he's always like, "Yes, we will help. We will be there. Anything that's good for the country." He's that sort of a guy, and he's providing physiotherapists throughout the whole thing. And also, I'd like to thank the personal donors, who've, Dato Harpal, who came in, MD, Mahinder Gill, AP Western, Harjinder. This is cash that we need. Can you imagine to organize such a walk, We need food along the way for ourselves. We need to survive. At the same time, I know the Malaysian public is going to house us. They're going to keep us along in temples, churches, mosques, anywhere that you allow us to go and spend the night. If you want to give us some water, give us some water. You want to give us some food, please do that. Because at the end of the day, we do not want to be a burden. We're actually walking so that we can help fund and feed those in need. And while we're on the road, we're going to experience that a lot. We're actually going to experience what it feels like to be homeless. Imagine being on the street, on the road for 1 month, 3 days.
Right.
And walking in the sun, in the rain, in the sunshine. It's with blisters. Remember the blisters the
Right.
size of golf balls that we had from Singapore to
Now with New Balance shoes, I don't think that's going to happen.
I really hope not.
Right.
I really
So,
hope not.
we've thanked our sponsors. Don't forget, if you need more information, you need to log on to www.goodwillwalk.com.my. Before I let you go, we've got about a minute before I let you go,
Okay.
and bring Zarif on. Your message to Malaysia and what you want personally, or rather,
Okay.
when it comes to help, what kind of help do you
What
want?
we are asking for, what Malaysia Food Bank is asking for, is come and walk 1 kilometer with us. I've spoken to Amber Chia, Tanuja Anandan, Aisha Sinclair, Sophia Jane. We're talking to Sheila Majid and all the stars and celebrities that I've loved all my life. I'm asking them to come and help us. And any other celebrities out there, if you're watching this, just come and join us for 1 kilometer. I'm talking to KJ, the Minister of Youth and Sports. Fit Malaysia. This is so in line with Fit Malaysia. Can you imagine the whole country walking? Just 1 kilometer, that's what we're asking for. Bring a car boot full of dried food. Rice and canned food is more than enough. It can help so many people out there. And the final thing is, if you can't join us on the walk and you'd like to donate, just sponsor 100 ringgit per kilometer. There are about 10 of us. If we can get even that funding it can make a very big difference for all
Right.
the humanitarian work. that we're doing
100
out there.
ringgit per kilometer.
Yeah, they're
right.
10 walkers roughly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's 750 kilometers. It starts from Perlis, ends in Malacca. It starts on the 19th of April and it runs till the 23rd of May, put together by the United Sikhs.
We are helping, United Sikhs is helping to organize the Goodwill Walk for the Malaysia Food Bank organization. So everything that is collected, all the food and the donations will go to the Malaysia Food Bank organization.
Right.
You'll be meeting one of the board of...
And here's one interesting thing about the Malaysia Food Bank. Simply because it's called the Malaysia Food Bank, the food bank belongs to you. So help fill it up. Yeah?
yeah, man.
Thank you.
Gerard, thanks again.
The great Flying Singh. We hope to have him on the airwaves once again. Get a great, good humor in the morning. We hope that happens on national radio as soon as
I
possible.
think my calling now is more to what I'm doing
No
now.
more radio.
Uh,
I'd like to have you back on radio,
Bro,
man.
just coming on with you, for me, and going on to other radio stations, the TV stations, is like me spreading myself out. Before that, I was only in one place. Now I can be so many places.
There you have it. The great Flying Singh. Of course, we don't have the Scam Boy here, but at some stage we want to have the both of them. Yeah, and a
You'll drive me
reunion.
nuts.
yeah,
You'll drive me
They,
nuts.
they certainly will drive me nuts, and I won't even have to be here. But it'll be good to have them on TV at some stage. Well, we'll come back with Zarif Effendi. Stay with us right here at The Nation. We'll be back shortly.
Halo, apa kabar pemirsa? Salam dari Jakarta. Sebuah program kerjasama Kantor Berita Indonesia Antara dengan Kantor Berita Malaysia bernama kembali hadir menjumpai Anda.
Menongkah batasan masa, mengupas isu semasa, menjadi saluran pelbagai suara, segalanya baru dan benar di Berita Bernama TV.
Hello Malaysia and welcome back to The Nation. We're still talking about the Goodwill Walk 2015. It's happening from the 19th of April till the 23rd of May from Perlis to Malacca, 750 kilometers, and this is to collect food for the Malaysia Food Bank. We just spoke to an iconic radio man, Flying Singh. We now have another amazing person. I've had the chance to interview him on Bernama Radio 24 a while ago. He's back with us, Zarif Effendi, who's going to be a part of this Goodwill Walk. Zarif, welcome to the show, man. Great to have you back.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, I've been reading a lot about you. You've been doing so many things, yeah?
Yeah. Well,
you're a CEO of some company doing something else, always helping with some initiative. And basically, that's what your life revolves around.
yes. Well, basically, I always try to make myself useful, right? And I do believe that, you know, whatever I do in life, I'd like to have some purpose in this big, bad world, right? And try to create some sort of social positive impact, right? You know.
The last time I spoke to you, it was...
Malaysia 50 Fest. That was the last
How
one.
was that festival? Was it good?
That went really well. You know, it was an amazing experience as well. You know, got amazing people to come by. You know, from Marina Mahathir to Pitio. Right. We managed to really bring some great awareness about, you know, the importance of Malaysia Day as well. Right.
And I don't know if you know this, but I got to know about you from Marina. She called and said, no, would you have this guy on your show?
Yeah, exactly. And this is the great thing about the journey that I've gone through. You know, I made that decision that I'd like to be part of an ecosystem, you know, of people that would like to do something positive for the world, right? And in that journey, I managed to meet amazing people like Marina Mahathir, like yourself, like Rishi, the Flying Sikh, right? And so, I think as you make a choice of where you want to be, you gravitate towards the amazing people that are also having that same choice as well, right?
So tell us the story about you getting involved in the Goodwill Walk. How did you and Flying Sikh touch base?
Well, we met up for first time last year at the Merfest, right? So he was the MC at the Merfest, right? Which was the Malaysian Urban Retreat.
Yeah, it's put together by Shobi and a group of people.
Yes, exactly. So, and my wife is she's a big yoga kind of like, lady, right? She loves yoga, right? So at that time, I actually went for the music festival first, not really for the yoga, for the music festival at the night, and that's where I met Rishi, and he was a really cool guy. And then he just briefly mentioned about it, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like a cool idea. Right. And then we never talked again after that. And then a few months after that, he touched base with me again. He's like, dude, you want to do this walk or not? I'm like, hey, tell me what. Yeah, of course. I'd like to join in. Just tell me what's the story, right? And then we sat down and we started chit-chatting, getting to know more of each other. And we realized that, hey, we were of kindred spirit here because, we both had that experience. I think one of my big life-changing experience was being involved in Aceh, right? So I took the plunge at that period of time when I was very young. I packed my bags, I went to Aceh, I did this whole humanitarian relief operations experience there for almost a year, and it was a life-changing experience for me, right?
I mean, now that you're talking about Aceh, I'd also like to digress and talk about your time in Aceh. Of course, you spent quite a bit of time in Aceh, and you did humanitarian work. But doing humanitarian work and being the person you are, did people go out of their way to make sure that you're comfortable and this and that, or did they treat you like one of the guys?
I had to. I mean, everybody was occupied with things, right? I mean, you're in a disaster-torn area.
Right.
There's only so much anybody can try and make you feel comfortable, right? And it wasn't about that as well. I went there.
Right.
And
you went there. You were clear as to what you wanted to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I wasn't there to be babied around either, right? And I managed. I feel like when I got back after all that, it was a real big sense of accomplishment because despite, I guess, the initial people's reservation, what can I do in Aceh? I ended up staying there for almost a year and did a whole lot of things, right? Distributed a few thousand tons worth of aid, coordinated all that, got to coordinate, international agencies and local agencies. You just have to kind of do and not have that reservation of whether or not you can or cannot do. It's just about, you believe that you have an ability to do something, and then after that you just do it. And then after that, if it fails, then you find a solution on why it fails, or if it's not working, right? And if it doesn't work exactly how you think it would work, it just does. But I think ultimately it's just, you just have to do it, right?
Right.
It's a very it's not overthinking it. And it's the same thing with this walk as well. I didn't want to overthink it. But then at the same time, I think the recent development, is that as much as I would like to join in for the full 750 Ks, I'm probably going to only be doing the first 100 Ks, another 50 Ks in the middle, and another 100 Ks at the end. You know?
Right.
But you know, I mean, and that's, people wonder how I do these kind of things, and you know, at the end you just have to do it.
And with doing a walk like this, and there needs to be a bit of cardiovascular preparation, for something like this. It can be tiring, after a while, and the walking in the heat is no joke. So have you been doing any working out in your own?
Nothing specifically like special. I think just on an average day-to-day kind of thing, I try my best to maintain some form of physical health. I swim a lot anyway. I do my gym. And naturally, I do a lot of I compete in a lot of events,
right?
Especially things like swimathons or trail running, right? So like the most difficult challenge I did, I guess, on a swimming standpoint was swimming the Marang Kapas Marathon swimathon. I swam 6.5 kilometers.
Wow.
And then I also did the Sabah Adventure Challenge, which was about 85 kilometers, running up the hill, down the hill, So not necessarily naturally, but on an average kind of thing,
you're pretty fit.
I try to, and that's also important as well on a life perspective as well. I mean, to me at least, one of my ultimate pursuits in life is balance. Right, and it's both a goal, an aim, as well as a mode as well, right? Your mode is to be balanced, right? So that your aim is to be balanced, right? And so I try to balance out with my family life, my professional life, trying to keep fit as well to a certain degree, because having a healthy body helps with a healthy mind and healthy emotions as well, right? So in that pursuit, I try to at least maintain some form of balance in physicality.
Right. Well, we'll take another break, and when we come back, we'll find out more about Zarif Effendi and, of course, him taking part in the Goodwill Walk 2015. We'll also ask him about, how does someone like him motivate himself, or how does he motivate himself on a daily basis? Maybe we can draw some lessons from this, and that can help us probably help out with the Goodwill Walk too. We'll take a short break, and we'll be back right here at Bernama's The Nation. I'm Jared Rudlam. Stay with us.
ulasan masa. Mengupas isu semasa. Jadi saluran pelbagai suara. Segalanya baru dan benar di Berita Bernama TV.
Welcome back to The Nation. We're currently talking about the Goodwill Walk 2015. For more information, all you need to do is log on to www.goodwillwalk.com.my. We're currently speaking to Zarif Effendi. Of course, Zarif goes around motivating people. Now we're going to motivate you to support his kilometers. How does this work?
Well, one of the main things is, of course, we're trying to collect funds to create this food bank, right? And so one of the ways that we thought that would be great, right, would be for people to donate for every kilometer that we walk, basically. So, on a personal note, as I was telling you, I'm probably going to, the definitive thing, I'm going to walk that first 100 kilometers and the last 100 kilometers. And
first 100 and the last 100.
And as well as 50 kilometers in the middle as well, so about 250 kilometers.
Why are you doing it in stages? Is there a reason?
Yes,
Time.
because it's a compromise.
Okay.
The reason is because I don't want to lose my job in doing this as well.
Right.
And I love my job. But also I want to be
But
able
ultimately
to do
you run your own thing, so...
I run my own thing, but the agency that I work for is not. It's an agency under MTEM, Majlis Tindakan Ekonomi Malaysia, in Malaysia. And so, the compromise for me at least, right? I mean, my boss actually just said do it, but then, I know that they're just gonna, I'm gonna get it later on if not, you know. But I feel that, if I can do more, I will do more as well, So I'd like people to help, donate for every kilometer that I walk, right? So, we're looking at about 100 kilometers.
Right.
100 ringgit per kilometer, right? So if I'm walking about 250 kilometers, right? So,
so people pledge some funds towards.
Exactly. And so I've already got some really good friends of friends who have already committed as well. So, I hope that the public out there feels like, if it's something that is worthwhile, and I feel it's worthwhile.
Right.
Really. I mean, what is more worthwhile than helping an initiative that feeds the needy?
How do you go about doing this? Saying if I want to pledge 100 ringgit towards 1 kilometer of your walk, where do I go do it? Do I go to the website?
You can go to the website,
right?
And just pledge. You know that I will be walking for at least 250 kilometers. So you can pledge how many kilometers you would like to donate that in that kilometer, right? Whether or not it's 10 kilometers, whether or not it's 100 kilometers, right? And you donate $100 per kilometer, basically.
I don't know if this is going to come across as a stupid question, but no. When you walk, how much harder is it for you?
It's not any more harder.
It's not any more harder.
No, it's not. I mean, I think I'm quite lucky, in comparing to like people who might not have legs, because that's one of the more integral elements of walking, right? But even if you don't have legs, you can also use your wheelchair.
I mean, you're very dependent on your legs.
Yeah, and so I exactly, and likewise, though I do know what you mean, because I'm very dependent on my legs. My legs are like two limbs in one. They're both my arms as well as my legs. And in fact, I even have a saying that my slap is a flying kick, right? Because my legs are my arms, right? So of course, people say I need to take care of my legs more, right? And I overuse my legs a lot more than other people. But if these legs can be used to help people in need, one way or another, whether or not it's me walking and raising funds with these legs, then great, right? And if people think that they'd like to support something like that,
right?
It's something that I would definitely encourage and definitely plead, right? So
remember, it's 100 ringgit per kilometer, right? No GST, is it?
We'll talk to the custom department
GST
about
people,
this. You know what I mean? Maybe MOF can do something about it. Like
maybe get some ideas flowing now. Well, Coming back to what you do, you inspire people a lot. You go out there and talk to people.
Yeah,
you have motivational talks.
It's a big part of what I do.
Right.
As well.
No, how's that going?
That's going quite well, really. I mean, slightly a bit less than a few years back, because I just took a role under Gemilang Usahawan, which is an agency under MTEM. But I still run my own outfit as well, the Zarif Initiative, which is a company that does social impact as well as personal impact as well. So the big part of our business is, of course, to be able to conduct these sessions, right? I call them sharing sessions, right? In which we've done for corporate sectors. Most of my bread and butter clients are corporate sectors, right? Banks, financial institutions, oil and gas, whatever else it is, right? But then I've been privileged to be able to share and inspire with disadvantaged groups, university students, school children, so I'm more than
what's the most frequently asked question when you open for questions and people get to ask you questions? What's the frequently asked question when it comes to you?
There's no real one frequent question actually, but I think the most frequent questions are answered when I do my talk anyway. You know what I mean? Because when I do my talk, I have my videos, so it shows about my day-to-day life, and then so it kind of answers that question of like the more common questions, I guess, just on a general standpoint, is very general and basic, like how do I eat,
right?
Or how do I put my pants up, but then they're also like,
but
how
do
people
feel uncomfortable when they ask you these questions?
No, not well. It depends. Yes, funny enough, I found out that a lot of people end up asking my wife these questions,
right?
Which is kind of funny. But I do have a pet peeve question though, which is like people always ask me whether I'm a painter,
right,
or whether I'm an artist. Just so stereotype, right?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like
if you don't have arms, you should be a
painter.
painter.
It's like it's like asking in Indian, are you a doctor?
Doctor,
right?
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, right. So yes, and but the ironic part is I do paint. I do paint, right? And I do a lot of artwork, right? But it still peeves me when people ask me whether I'm a
So every day you
painter.
can find time to paint, swim, go to the gym, work, do some sort of public service. You find time for that every day.
Well,
is that the
balance? Not every day, of course, but in my lifetime, basically. I mean, on an everyday basis, I think the main thing is about balancing my professional career, balancing my wife and family and baby, life or family life, balancing my own physical, mental, spiritual needs, balancing friends, right? Social life, right? And ultimately balancing that whole need and desire to create a positive impact in this world, right? So it's about balancing all those, and I wear a lot of hats as well. Sometimes more than my head can fit.
Right. So you're wearing one hat now. You'll be one of the few doing this 750-kilometer walk, and you've got the camera to yourself. What's your message to Malaysia with regards to the Goodwill Walk and with regards to building or helping put more food into the Malaysia Food Bank?
Well, I think the cool part about the Goodwill Walk is that it's basically an initiative to get all the good people to walk, right? Because it's not a goodwill walk only. It's I think people might have a misconception that it's a goodwill walk. Yes, it is a goodwill walk. We are trying to promote unity, but it is those who are good will walk, right? And so we hope that people come together regardless of religion, regardless of race, regardless of ethnic background, political following, or ideologies, and just come and do this little symbolic gesture of walking with us, right? And if you don't, if you might not be able to donate, at least you can walk. If you can't walk, at least you can share and spread the word, right? So it's something really straightforward. It's not overcomplicating. We just want to walk, because we want to make a point that we are all united. And while we do that, let's try and raise funds for something great and simple and simplistically noble, which is to feed the needy.
Right. On that note, we'd also like to thank the sponsors, which is Baines Physio and New Balance, who've come out to help the person who started this, Flying Singh. They've come out and they've put out a lot of help in conjunction with this upcoming walk. And of course, if you need more information, all you need to do is log on to www.goodwillwalk.com.my, or you can call this number 019 2955 287. That's 2955 287. Zarif, pleasure and an honor speaking to you.
No worries.
Okay,
Yeah.
and we'll of course bring them back on just after the walk. We hope to bring Flying Singh and Zarif back to the studio and find out what the experience was like. In the meantime, go log on to www.goodwillwalk.com.my and you'll get all the information you need about the Goodwill Walk 2015. Have a great day ahead. I'm Jared Ratnam signing off.